what we're talking about today is obviously the world of advocacy. And what I'd love to sort of kick us off with is a little bit of that why behind advocacy. And I think this ties a little bit into your own experience of being involved with social for like 10 years. I could see you're an active content creator. We briefly talked before about your running, work you do at the minute. So I think it was 100 miles in March you recently did. And I
Yeah.
think there's charity sponsors of mine. So I saw some posts around that, which is fantastic. But I think the first thing to dive into is like, what really first sparked your interest in launching an employee advocacy program within obviously the social realm there?
That's OSB. I suppose some of the groundwork had kind of been done for me, I suppose, is the honest answer to it. So I'd say I joined April 2022 as part of like a bit of a recruitment drive for the social team. So before I joined and my colleague Claudia, it was just basically a one-man band. So our manager Dave was running the channels for OSB. And so just to say, OSB Group is the, excuse me, the wider group, but we have various lending and savings brands within that as well, which each have their own social media presence. So big exercise that Dave went through was part of this kind of trying to get ourselves to a point of excellence. Have we got all the bases covered? Are we doing all that we can to make our socials as good as it can be? And a big part of that was the community side of things. So how we best communicate with our customers and our colleagues, and but also helping our colleagues as well through their own journey with social media. So yeah, big exercise that he did really was to bring on and launch the kind of advocacy program and platform. It was kind of used to kind of unite the business a bit more as well, really, because just before the pandemic, we went through a large merger. So it's two different businesses became one. And obviously people from all areas of the country coming together then. Business had obviously changed quite a lot. So it's bringing that kind of new voice as OSB Group more collectively through, and how can obviously our people support that, and how can we empower people to be more active on social, to share the great things that OSB and the brands are involved with, really. So yeah, the groundwork was done there, kind of strategy building. And then a big part of my role when I actually joined was to kind of roll this out, really look for the best ways of doing it, and really kind of make it a living and breathing thing.
Fantastic. And again, no easy feat during absolutely the COVID pandemic when obviously things were obviously a little bit disjointed, a little set up. So, great work to obviously put this all together and obviously, yes, run now with the ball there. And I suppose then, typically we talk about employee advocacy sometimes in general terms and on the Hootsuite side, but obviously in financial services, it can be such a different little beast, I imagine. So, from your experience, why is employee advocacy, especially important in the world of Finserv? Do you have a view on that?
I mean, I suppose we each kind of financial servicing organisation might use advocacy in their own kind of way. We definitely saw it as a way of building more trust, I suppose, between the relationships we have with clients and customers, and the people that work at OSB as well. And just that kind of greater awareness of what we do, I suppose, really. We quite often refer to OSB as quite a, I don't know, as like a major sleeping giant or unknown kind of figure, because not many people in the UK could quite easily recognise OSB if you're not part of that kind of more niche industry especially with the lending arm of the business. So it's about getting our name out there a bit more, building that kind of trust up with the people that work there, and giving the kind of like platform to show what OSB is about and what we do and what we talk about and who our brands are, etc. So a whole kind of mix of that, really, to build up the awareness of us and then the trust of our people.
100%. No, I love that because again, the trust element it's so like powerful with everything that goes on. So I love this sort of such a central column to the strategy there. Now, let's take your mind back to obviously you mentioned there you got the ball rolling, obviously to get this program out there. And I'd love to know when you sort of first started work on this, were there any challenges or hesitations that you encountered internally when you started to explore the advocacy program or started to even roll it out there?
I suppose challenging, you have I suppose the main kind of challenge really is kind of proving the value or proving the worth of the impact that it's going to have, or how you will actually develop it over time. I suppose that's true as social media as a whole, really. I suppose other people who work in social might be on the call now and kind of feel the pain of constantly having to prove yourself. What's the ROI on this, or what's the reason why we're doing this, or why should we be talking about certain things? As I also mentioned, a lot of the groundwork had fortunately been done before I joined as well. It was always about business case had already kind of been put forward to say that advocacy was something we wanted to develop a lot more, and had actually the buy-in from senior people. So our marketing director was fully on board with what my manager was putting forward there. So it was kind of known in that kind of sense. We already had that kind of buy-in, and then you have the other kind of leads within the business. It's kind of taking them on the cliche of the journey over time, just to show this is what we plan to do, this is how we're going to do it, and then once it is in place, like early doors, to show this is how it's going, this is what kind of impact it's having, and this is how we can do more with it, and how they might be able to get involved as well. So yeah, fortunate, but a lot of it was said in place before I joined. And then the challenge of convincing people, I suppose, really comes with time and comes with proving the worth and just having those examples and having kind of a clear structure and strategy in place as well, really, just to know, okay, these people know what they want to do and what they're talking about. So let's give it a go. Let's see how we do with it, and then can see how it can grow over time as well.
Fantastic. No, we're definitely going to circle back to more of that, the who's involved behind the scenes once the program's up and running. So, and great to hear though the marketing director was obviously on board with that. But were there any other key stakeholders that, you know, that obviously your colleague Dave had to sort of go and sort of meet, or anyone that came up later in the program and said, hey, maybe, you know, this person was overlooked, we do need to engage with them as a key stakeholder, get my teeth in today, and to really get them on board as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give a bit more detail about the kind of audience groups or like the teams that we got involved in our own kind of personal program, but the kind of starting point really, and who we wanted to focus on was some of the sales teams as well from the our lending side of the business. So kind of more senior figures within the lending arm of the business as well, kind of key figures in that kind of sense. Again, it was about sharing the kind of groundwork and the background that had been done with them, explaining this is what we're going to do. These are the kind of people from your teams that we'd love to be involved, and these are the reasons why. And then again, proving that value to them over time, really. So we're quite lucky. There was no kind of big resistance saying, no, you shouldn't be doing this, because essentially we know as a social team, as a marketing team, we're the experts in that kind of sense. We know this is why it should work. We've had the kind of approval from key stakeholders or senior stakeholders within that kind of department as well. So it's just that kind of trust and taking them along and said on the journey to show you this is how we want to do it. This is who could help us do it. And this is the results that we get once we've started doing it.
Love it. And just apart from that sales group, were there any other initial groups of employees you decided, hey, you should also be a great group of advocates? Maybe, I don't know, anyone from like an HR teams sort of show, reflect the company ESG work, for example, as well?
Yes, yeah. I mean, I'd say a massive turning point in our own kind of program was early last year, really, when we did bring on board some members of the HR and talent teams as well. Obviously, they're a very vocal voice of the business as well, to try and attract the talent into the business. And we needed that kind of guidance and support, because obviously they'd post a lot on their own, sharing all the jobs, etc. But how could we complement that with more kind of stories of what's happening within the business and our various brands as well? And obviously, quite a lot of those people were quite established on their own social media platforms. Like LinkedIn is obviously the main focus for us in that sense.
Mm.
And yeah, that had a massive impact on our overall results as well, how things were going from an amplified point of view. But then from there, in terms of the stakeholder buying from that, it was about meeting with that head of department. By that point, we did have like 10 months worth of data or results to share with them and show them examples of stuff. So I could see, okay, there's value in that. Oh, actually, I recognise that post. I didn't realise that was from you or from Amplify. And then, yeah, it was much easier to kind of get them on board once you have that kind of backlog of content and evidence as well. And we just, like I said, we started it off slow and expanded it over time.
You gotta love that when there's a stealthy bit of content and people just don't quite understand how it's all worked out, and they realize, oh, this was such a massive thing. Like, oh, you were the brains behind it. It's like that was a massive sort of like kudos there for that sort of focus. So nice, congratulations.